If you want to scale your ads properly and not absolutely tank your ROAS as soon as you start putting a little bit more money into it, I'm going to be going over everything from when to scale ads, how to properly scale ads so you don't lose your ROAS. For starters, if you're on a small budget, anything from $50 to $150 a day, you don't need to be running a scaling campaign. All of your ads are pretty much going to be in your cold conversions campaign where you're just testing out creatives and letting Meta optimize which ones are doing better and push those ads out a little bit further. If you are running more ad spend every single day, like I said, so anywhere from 150, really there's no limit with this, so anything from 150 to $1 million a day on ads, it doesn't matter. This is when you need to be scaling your ads and how to do it. A lot of times what happens when you start scaling ads is your ROAS drops. You start to see your numbers decreasing. And the reason this is because a lot of ads cannot actually withstand a high amount of spend. Maybe they'll do good with $50 a day, $100 a day, but when you start to add more money in them, you realize that they're actually not performing the exact same. They're not doing as good as you thought, and that's going to drop your ROAS and your numbers. So I'm going to show you how to keep those numbers healthy even when you're scaling at a very high volume and keep your numbers high. So for reference here, this is a campaign that we are currently running. As you can see right here, top of funnel, cold interest. This is our regular cold conversions campaign. We're putting $150 a day into it and we have a 5x ROAS. And then as you can see here, the BOF, this is the bottom of funnel. This is our scaling campaign. We're only putting $200 into this, but you come over here and we're at a 7x ROAS. So we're putting more money into it. It actually has less creatives and we're getting a better ROAS. It is absolutely important that you at least have 2 of these campaigns, if not more. We always run multiple campaigns at the same time to optimize for better results. The 2 that you want to have are a testing campaign and then a scaling campaign. The testing campaign is where you're putting all of your new ad creatives to figure out which ones are your winners so that you can then move them forward. What we always do is dump a ton of ads. We'll do 1 ad for every $10 to $20 of ad spend, sometimes even more if we're starting a new campaign. We let Meta optimize the budget based off of whichever one's performing better. So we'll throw in, 10 to 20 different ad creatives, and it's an unfair budget because Meta will determine which ones are doing better, give it more spend, so you can see which ones are winners. Once an ad hits $50 of ad spend total and maintains anything higher than a 3 to 3.5 ROAS, then we know this has outdone the testing phase and it can move on to a scaling campaign. It can handle a little bit more budget. So once that happens, we'll then move it to the scaling campaign where it's getting more budget because we know it's a winning ad. And once this happens, it will get more budget and then we can see if it can handle a higher budget. And if it does, we keep it, and if it can't, we get rid of it and we iterate it again. One thing that's very important when you are running a scaling campaign is to make sure that you are still testing out new creatives. Even if you have 5-10 winners that can handle a couple $100 of ad spend every single day, you still want to be making more creatives and adding them in because at some point they're going to burn out and at some point they're not going to work the same way that they did and your numbers are just going to drop because of it. So you always want to make sure that you're throwing more into the testing campaign so that they can eventually level up and go into your scaling campaign. Another extremely huge factor is the creatives that you're making. You want to be operating at an extremely high volume of creatives. Like I said, $10 to $20 of ad spend, but if you're running a smaller budget, like I would even consider this up here a smaller budget. On this campaign alone, on our cold interest campaign, we're adding a couple different ad creatives every single day to figure out which ones are the winners. And these aren't just different copies, different headings, different CTA, stuff like that. These are completely new ad formats. So we're making new videos, we're making new pictures, we're doing UGC content, we're doing before and afters. Everything is going into this, all of these new styles, so that we can see which ones are winning and performing better than the other ones. And if you apply all of these things to your campaigns, you will see better numbers. You'll see your campaign's ROAS actually increasing when you add it to a scaling campaign instead of decreasing.